During his 2 terms as governor of Minnesota, Tim Pawlenty used innovative and conservative leadership to balance the state's budget, cut spending, reform health care, and improve schools without raising taxes. Under his leadership, Minnesota had national leading health care, the highest school test scores, and a leading economy. In September 2010, the fiscally conservative Cato Institute gave Governor Pawlenty an A grade for his fiscal management. Governor Pawlenty's leadership style is rooted in his family. One of 5 children, Governor Pawlenty grew up near the stockyards of St. Paul, Minnesota. His father was a truck driver, and his mother passed away when he was young. Governor Pawlenty worked while attending the University of Minnesota, becoming the first in his family to graduate from college. He went on to earn his law degree and became a criminal prosecutor. Governor Pawlenty was elected to the local city council in 1989 and to the State House of Representatives 3 years later. He quickly rose to become the Republican majority leader and led efforts to enact the largest tax cuts in Minnesota history. After being elected governor in 2002, Governor Pawlenty kept his campaign promise and balanced every budget without raising taxes. After announcing he would not seek a 3rd term, Governor Pawlenty created the Freedom First PAC, which helps support and elect candidates across the country. Governor Pawlenty was also elected vice chair of the Republican Governors Association and played a leadership role in the victorious 2010 elections when Republicans took 11 governorships from the Democrats. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud pleasure to introduce Governor Tim Pawlenty.
Seriously? Dude.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming out today to support Adam Hasner. I've got a few questions for you. Are you sick and tired of a president who has ruined this economy and has made it worse since he's become president? Are you ready to have a president who understands that the way forward on health care is to not have the federal government take it over? Are you ready for a president who's going to keep our defense and national security strong in this country instead of trying to cut it and decimate it over the next decade like President Obama is? Are you ready for a new president in the United States of America? Thanks for coming out today. I sure appreciate it. We're here to support somebody that understands what this country needs and what Florida needs. I came, as was mentioned during the introduction, from a town in Minnesota that was a meatpacking town. My mom died when I was pretty young. My dad, as was mentioned, for much of his life was a truck driver. Not too long after my mom died, he lost his job. So at a very young age, I got to see some economic hardship up front and close and personal, up and down my street and in my family and across my town. And if you go talk to people across Florida and across this congressional district and across America, and you ask them, what are your hopes and dreams? What matters most to you? After they talk about their faith and their family, they'll talk about some other things. They'll talk about the importance of making sure that they have access to a job, or that their loved one or significant other has a job. Or they'll express concern about things like paying for their kids' college, or being able to afford their health care, or making sure they can have ends meet on a fixed income. But if you look at those things and look underneath it, almost every one of them requires that we have an economy that's moving forward, that it gives people economic opportunity. And you should know, and I think you probably do know, that the backbone of this economy is small and medium-sized businesses, the hardworking men and women who start businesses, grow businesses, provide jobs, and work at those kind of companies. There's 6 million businesses in the United States of America, 6 million. 5.9 million of those businesses have 500 employees or fewer. So almost all the juice in the economy is in those small and medium-sized businesses. If you go ask individuals who have, the entrepreneurs who've started and grown those kind of businesses, and you say, what can we do to make it more likely that you'll grow jobs in Florida or across this country? Some of them will talk about the need to lower taxes. Some of them will talk about the need to lower health care costs. Some of them will talk about the burdens of regulation and permitting and how slow and difficult that can be and discouraging. Some of them will talk about energy costs and the need to have more energy and more affordable energy and the like. But if you listen carefully to what they're saying, the theme is consistent throughout. What they say is, Governor Adam, get the government off my back. We're here today to support a candidate, Adam Hasner, for Congress, who understands that the way forward for our country to get this economy ignited and moved in a better direction is not to have the government tax more, regulate more, discourage more, not to bring more into the already inept Washington, D.C. infrastructure and culture of Washington, D.C. Adam understands the way forward is to get entrepreneurs and dreamers and designers and inventors to start businesses, grow businesses, take risks, provide jobs, and do those things that will encourage the hardworking men and women of this country in the private sector, not the government sector. We need more people like Adam Hasner in the United States Congress for that reason. And I know in this part of Florida, look, there's a lot of people who are Republicans, there's some people who are Democrats, but there's also a good chunk of folks who are independents. And one of the things they're concerned about is runaway government spending. And we got to have people in Washington, D.C. and the United States Congress who have the courage and the fortitude to speak truth to power and to make the tough decisions to get this federal budget under control. His opponent will make it worse. He will make it better. Now, I don't know about you, but when you look at this federal government, it's not necessarily even a matter of the arguments of the right versus the left. It's a matter of 8th grade math. The federal government a year or so ago took in $2.2 trillion, and they're spending about $3.7 trillion. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that plan doesn't work, but that's the path President Obama and the Democrats have the country on. He came to office and he said he was going to cut the federal budget deficit in half. Do you know what he did since then? He tripled it, nearly tripled it. That's just one of the many promises that he broke. So I want to introduce to you in just a second here our main speaker. But before I do, there's something else I want to say besides the policy. You know that he'll be for cutting taxes, he'll be for cutting spending, he'll be for private sector healthcare solutions, empowering consumers and families instead of the federal government. You know that he'll be with us on getting more American energy and domestic energy supply. But I hope you feel good not just about the policy direction and positions of Adam Hasner. I hope you feel good about Adam Hasner, the person. This is a lot of time in politics, you meet some people and you're like, geez, I don't know. But with him, we don't have to say that. We know that his feet are on the ground, his compass is set to true north. He's a grounded person with the right values and the right common sense that we desperately need in this country and really need in the United States Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the next congressman from this district, Adam Hasner.
Thank you all so much for being here, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedules to join us for the office opening. And we're just so proud of everything that we've been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. And it is so great to see so many friendly and familiar faces out in the audience, and to have you here celebrating with us today as we open up this office and really get our campaign for U.S. House of Representatives off the ground and back on the move. And so let me just recognize a few of the folks who are here who have been early supporters of our campaign. State Senator Ellen Bogdanoff. Senator, thank you so much. Palm Beach County Commissioner Stephen Abrams. Thank you, Commissioner. Broward County Commissioner Chip LaMarca. Thank you, Chip. Then our MC for this afternoon, Margie Hillshine, the president of the Boca Raton Republican Club. And I do just want to also thank one other person. There are so many folks here in the audience to thank, but Diane Schwerin, who made the amazing cake that each and every one of you will have an opportunity to sample in just a few minutes. But let me just say this about Governor Pawlenty, because I don't think he realizes how much he and I actually have in common. And one thing is that we both served as the majority leaders of the House of Representatives in our times in the state legislature. We also were the first in our own families to be Republicans. And that wasn't an easy conversation when I turned 18 to tell my mom that I was registering as a Republican. But I do want to just let everybody know that here with me today is my father, Richard, and my two uncles, Lloyd and Jay. Great to see them. He just wants everybody to know that since that time, he has registered as a Republican. One other thing in common that Governor Pawlenty and I have in common is we both married way over our heads. And I think those of you who know Jillian know that I am speaking truth. And so Jillian, there you are. Thank you for everything you do. I love you. Our campaign, as many of you know, is off to a great start. We've been building tremendous momentum since early February in this new 22nd district, the coastal communities from downtown West Palm Beach to downtown Fort Lauderdale. Now 95% of this congressional, or my old state legislative district, is inside this congressional district, which makes up about 20% of the new congressional district. And so we have a strong foundation and base of support. So many of you have been part of those campaigns that have been so successful. And I think back to 2008, when Barack Obama in the state legislative district that I ran in got 52% of the vote. Because of so many of you in this audience, we got 60% of the vote. People responded to our common sense message, not just Republicans, but independents and Democrats, and that's what it's going to take to win in November in Florida's 22nd district. Now this race is shaping up to be one of the top 25 battleground seats in the entire country. Many of the political pundits in Washington and even those locally are saying that this is going to be a toss-up race. This is going to be a barn burner. And we're expecting a tough fight. Now, we also know that we're doing everything that we need to do in order to position ourselves for victory in November. And we are so proud of the support that we received from day one, from people like Congressman Allen West, who I know many of you are big supporters. I was proud to say that I was the first candidate in the country to have the endorsements of Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush. And we were also proud to announce the endorsement of the House Majority Leader in Washington, Eric Cantor. Now, many of you know that one of the reasons that Eric is supporting me and has endorsed me is that he's a little bit lonely in Washington. He's the only Jewish Republican out of 535 members of the House and Senate. So in November, we're going to help to build the population of Jewish Republicans in Washington. Now we know this is going to be a tough race. You all know that Lois Frankel is a tough campaigner. You know that she'll say or do anything to win an election. Now what many of you may not know is that Lois Frankel was Debbie Wasserman Schultz's mentor when they served together in the State House of Representatives. And so I say one is enough for South Florida and Washington, D.C. But this race is about stark contrasts and clear choices about the future for our community and for our country. And I think each and every one of you know what I believe in. You know that I'm a fighter. You know that I'll stand up even when it's not politically popular. And as Governor Pawlenty talked about, this election boils down to very simple math. We have an unsustainable $16 trillion debt. We need to cut spending, save Medicare, and pass a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution. We have an 8% unemployment rate nationally, And we need to break down the barriers to uncertainty for businesses. We need to overhaul our tax code, and we need to repeal job-killing regulations that are stifling economic growth. And we have unaffordable $4 a gallon gas prices. That's why we need to be committed to a domestic energy policy for more onshore and offshore exploration for oil and natural gas, so we're not sending hundreds of billions of dollars to our enemies. I think we all realize that America is at a tipping point and that time is running short. The window of opportunity to put America back on the right track is narrowing. And if you think back and you look back throughout history of this country, you realize that every single time America has faced a challenge, there have been those who have risen to the challenge and answered that call. And now is that time again. We can alter the trajectory of our country. And for us, that starts right here in our own backyard, in the coastal communities of Florida's 22nd District. But I can't do it alone. Jillian and I, we can't do it alone. We need your help. We're asking you to get involved in our campaign. There are only 200 days to go before Election Day. We need you to sign up. We need you to volunteer. We need you to put a bumper sticker on your car. We need you to make a donation to our campaign. And together, we will hold this congressional seat. We will hold the majority in the U.S. House of Representatives, and we will restore America's promise for today and for future generations. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's go have a great time.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
All you have to say, very well.
There'll be cake inside. If everybody would like to step back inside, they will be serving Adam's cake.